My name is Scott, and I'll be speaking with you in about 10 minutes for tonight's dinner entertainment. And we have this wonderful crowd tonight, so we're going to try to squeeze in as much as we can. And we're thinking of setting up another round table so there's ample room. But please help yourself to food and enjoy each other's company. And just, if you don't mind, squeezing a little closer together so that we can make sure everybody has a place at the table. It's actually great that we've had such an unexpectedly high turnout. So you're in good company. Thank you so much. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. Good evening, everyone. If you wouldn't mind bringing your conversations to a conclusion. My mother has told me that I'm really outstanding dinner entertainment, so I will try to live up to that tonight. And I would just like to tell you, please do not feel embarrassed about continuing to eat or to going back to the table for seconds, because it's, I think, quite tasty, a tasty picnic, or helping yourself to dessert. We won't be offended at all. Just we want you to feel comfortable and very warm in this space. And the plan tonight is I'd like to share a few things about the school and then give you a chance to ask some questions. So you can be thinking as you nibble as to what kind of questions you'd like to ask me. So again, I just want to welcome you and thank you for joining us. My name is Scott Erickson. I'm the head of school here at PBS in my 8th year. I would like to thank Mita and Michelle for putting on a lovely party today. That was great. And if you are a teacher at PBS or a staff member or a current parent here at the tables to talk about your personal experiences, would you please just raise your hand? Let's give them a warm welcome and a warm thanks as well. They are so excited to be at PBS and really thrilled to sincerely tell you about their authentic experiences at PBS. And I actually think that this gathering tonight is very typical for what we do at PBS. This is a parent engagement opportunity to talk about the school and how it's supporting your children. We do that a lot at PBS. And if you join our community, I want you to know that my team and I will be totally focused on making sure that your children have the best learning experience every single day in school. And to achieve that promise, we are constantly working on ways to grow and to improve and to strengthen our school. We are committed to the present, and we are focused on the future. So tonight, I would like to share some insights into some of the current initiatives we're focused on to give you some more information about PBS. Then we'll have time, probably a half an hour or so, for your questions. And I really mean I want you to ask your questions on your mind. And I promise that we'll conclude by 7, so you can all go home to your families. What makes PBS distinctive? And what makes PBS special? Those are very important questions. After all, you're looking at schools. You want the best learning environment for your children. You want to find the right match. So that you can have an authentic picture about PBS. Here's what I think makes our school distinctive. Rigorous academics balanced with high emotional intelligence. That is the motor that drives the engine of our mission and core values. Secondly, our students are truly known and loved by their teachers. That teacher-student bond at PBS is very special, and it's sacred. And third, we at PBS value a high sense of belonging. Everyone belongs here. Everyone wants to belong. I know that you're looking for a strong sense of community in the school that you find. I was looking for that 8 years ago when I found it. Now, you've found it right here. So these are the 3 things that I think make us very special. And I think there are 3 key ingredients to the PBS recipe that makes it possible for us to promise these things. These ingredients are strong school and home partnership, high caliber teachers, and an excellent program. I'd like to share a few words about each. The first ingredient is school-home partnership. I want all of you as parents to be informed and engaged and energized advocates for PBS. There is nothing like good word of mouth talking about the school out in Menlo Park. Our parents are engaged, they support our initiatives, they are passionate about their children's education, and yes, they're opinionated, and I love that. In our anonymous parent survey, PBS gets a 93% rating on partnership with families, 93%. I challenge any of you in your companies to get that kind of rating. And I have more stats to share with you tonight. We support this partnership through family education. We're trying to share the why behind the program as much as the what. And just a month ago, I launched our new Family Connection program. It's a new program where our top goal is to build a community with a robust and strong sense of belonging. To help us do that, we want to elevate this love of learning core value, this core value our students treasure, elevate that value into our family community. We're doing it because parents and PBS teachers, I believe, are co-educators of their children's education. We are co-educators working together. By naming that you and the school are co-educators, we are actually building up a peer-to-peer learning environment where you can learn from each other. We are honoring the uniqueness of your family's own special values while also being aligned with the very important values that we cherish as a school. I've been working on inventing this new Family Connection program since June. I think I've spoken with about 400 people about it, either in groups or individually. And here is what I learned. Number one, our mission and our core values are the anchor. They are the anchor for everything we do as families in school. Two, reimagining parent ed allows us to improve in areas we want to improve and to really tackle complex topics on your minds, not just what the head of school thinks you should learn about. Third, the parents have told me that they like our new approach of what we're calling a customized series of presentations. It's not a one-size-fits-all, so we're more like Netflix than CBS. Everyone also told me, fourth, that they like the idea of presentations that are co-planned, co-owned, and co-led by teachers and parents. It's an approach that offers a chance for the teachers to share their expertise and for parents to share their experiences. It's co-owned and collaboratively planned together. So to give you a taste for how this Family Connection program is going to play out, let me name the programs we're doing monthly between now and June. Number one, how to optimize the PBS curriculum at home. That's a big question for all parents. Number two, what to do when things go wrong at school. That's the one I'm leading. I don't know why I gave myself that one. Third, increasing accountability and responsibility so we can be both firm and kind. That's a challenge. Number four, reading readiness, tracking the arc of progress for our young readers. Every parent with 3 and 4-year-olds wonders how in the world their children will ever learn. We're going to work on that in a parent-family connection program. Fifth, we have a program called Middle School Readiness, where we're going to share data and survey research from our graduates' own experiences and how they're performing in middle schools to give our parents the data on how things are going. And then finally, to conclude the year in May when we're all exhausted, this exciting topic of parenting in an age of anxiety. We know that anxiety is on the rise in our area and across the country, and we want to provide our parents tools to parent and to co-educate with us. I think this program is distinctive, and I think Family Connection Program is a unique title. I love that it's collaborative. I love that it's customized like Netflix when you want to watch House of Cards or The Crown all at once. If this captures your interest and imagination, then you should join our school. I want you to know that PBS parents also vote with their feet. Here's some numbers. Parents who attended grade level coffees in the fall, 233. I have new family breakfasts and lunches every year, 75. In philanthropy or giving to the school, 100% of our faculty, staff, and parents have contributed to our annual fund. Last year, we set, in a third year in a row, a record for dollars raised so that we can support our teachers and our students and our programs. We have an annual benefit party every year in late April. Last April, we had the best attendance in history, and we raised a record amount of dollars for financial aid so that we can really build the intentional community we want to build. Now here's a number, the number of parents who volunteer in class and for field trips. Countless. Seriously, it's too many to count. And I love it because it means our parents not only are engaged in our program, but they spend their time trying to figure out what we're doing in school every single day. I think most of you have attended Gather, those assemblies on Fridays. Parents attend those in big numbers, whether they watch it virtually online, on video, or whether they come in person. And I've heard from our parents that this year's series of topics have been very helpful. Partnership, rigor, motivation, belonging, respect. And starting on Friday, we're going to commemorate Black History Month. And our guest speaker is a grandparent of a fourth grader named Professor Claude Steele. He's the Berkeley provost, formerly, and now is a professor at Stanford, really bringing in resources to address these topics. And the good news is, if you can't be here in person, like Netflix, we capture everything on video. Every family connection session, every Gather talk, this talk, everything, it's all on video. And I've been told by so many grandparents and traveling parents how much they love that they can feel like they're at school, learning about what happens in school, even if they can't be here. So during the admission process, we often hear this question. What are you looking for in this partnership? What are you looking for in your applicant families? I mean, my goodness, my child is 2. What can you assess? Let me tell you what we're looking for. Parents who partner with us, parents who believe in a strong sense of belonging, parents who want to dive in and join us in coeducation. We also appreciate families who recognize there are bumps, twists, and turns. It's not a perfect route parenting children or coeducating children, and we appreciate that. One alum parent told me this: PBS taught me things about my own children that I didn't even know. Now that is partnership at its best. So the second ingredient after school-home partnerships is high-caliber teachers. These are the people who really get to know and love your children. They are experts at early childhood and elementary education. Over 3 years, this is what PBS students said about their teachers in their annual survey. Statement: my classroom teacher knows me well. 90% said strongly agree or agree. My home classroom teacher cares about me. 96% strongly agree or agree. My teacher wants me to succeed and do well in school. 98%. I know what is expected of me in my classroom. 94% said always or usually. I'm really proud of those numbers, and it makes me proud of our faculty. And in our anonymous survey for parents over 4 years, we do a survey about program and teaching. This is what the key takeaways have been in the last 4 years from our parents. They say that the faculty is one of the best things they love about PBS. They say that the quality of teaching at PBS is really high. And they give really high praise, and they remark on the faculty's ability to inspire children and to teach to a wide range of learning styles. Those are key and important ingredients for a strong and high-caliber faculty at PBS. I want you to know tonight that it is my number one priority to retain and recruit talent. And that's a hard task in the high cost of living here in the Bay Area. The Board of Trustees and the parents all agree that this should be my top priority. We call this actually our faculty first approach. We put faculty first because they matter most for the experience of your children. All of this faculty first thinking drives how we allocate resources, whether it's compensation or professional learning. But in addition to that, I want to make sure our faculty culture is strong and collaborative and supportive and team-oriented. So in March, when we surveyed our faculty, which we do annually, we asked our faculty and staff this question: considering everything, how satisfied are you with your work at PBS? It's like a satisfaction survey. 100% of them, every single one, said that they are very satisfied or satisfied. Over 2 years, teachers have been really satisfied with their work, and they've also said this: my work gives me a personal sense of accomplishment, 97%. My colleagues and peers encourage me to be my very best, 96%. And finally, an important one for me, I feel supported by the administration, 93%. I think those are strong and important numbers, and we pay very close attention to them. I think they say a lot about our faculty culture, which should give you great joy, given that they bring that inspirational culture to their classrooms. But I want you to know this: we are not resting on these laurels. I mean, I'd love that 93% to be 100%. But we're also focused on bringing more male teachers to the faculty. That is a common challenge in elementary schools. And the big challenge is that only 13% of the teaching candidates out there are men. We're also working very hard to bring more culturally and racially diverse faculty to our faculty. The challenge here is that only 21% of candidates are diverse if you look at culture or race. I think these are super important initiatives because we want our faculty to represent the diversity of the world and the diversity that our students bring into the picture and to the school. It's very important for students to see in the mirror people who are like them and who look like them. We think that working on these efforts will raise the high sense of belonging at PBS. I also think that it's important to prioritize helping teachers be leaders, how to help them grow professionally. We asked our faculty in that survey about their opportunities for professional learning. 97% said that they are very satisfied or satisfied with our professional learning program. We want our teachers to instill inspiration in our students, to instill a growth mindset in our students. So it's wonderful that on the survey, our teachers are saying that they feel inspired and a growth mindset over 90% of the time at PBS. What I hear most from parents and prospective parents that come to campus and meet our teachers is they say this: they have never witnessed a more enthusiastic and caring group of educators. They just love this group of teachers that's working with their children, all working intentionally for the best education for our students. So ingredient number 1 in the recipe is the school-home partnership. Ingredient number 2, high caliber teachers. And then finally, it's very important to have an excellent program. In fact, an excellent program with not so high caliber teachers doesn't work, or high caliber teachers with a not so excellent program doesn't work. So for me as your head, it's very important to have excellence in both. I think that our program is intentionally child-focused. That's the way it should be. It's designed to balance top-notch academics and high emotional intelligence. We get particularly high marks for teamwork and collaborative learning. That's a skill that I hear from all of you in Silicon Valley that is key in today's world, key to being successful. Again, here's what the student survey said: I am learning how to work together as a team with other students. 93% of our students said that they strongly agree or agree with that statement. I truly want PBS to be a leader in elementary education. It is my goal to be the best in everything, the best in all academic areas. And the way we're trying to do that is by continuing to work on a few initiatives and to develop what I like to call one-of-a-kind ways that we're doing that, and I'd like to share 3 of them tonight. The first one-of-a-kind way for PBS is something we call our curriculum deep dive. You've heard me talk about that. This is a very rigorous process to constantly grow and improve our program. Since 2015, we have assessed each curricular area at PBS in a 3-year rotation. We examine teaching practices. We study the relevant research. We bring in outside experts to review our program. We do field scans to see what other schools are doing. And we set a 3-year action plan with goals. An example from last June, and also a field scan from 13 different schools, is shown in that we've designed a brand new position for PBS for next year. So you would join as this new position joins us too. We're calling this role a Math Enrichment Coordinator. Now, our new math expert is going to focus on 5 areas. And why I'm so excited about this is a direct result of curriculum deep dive and doing rigorous work to improve our program. Here are the 5 things this person's going to do for our school. Number 1, enhance differentiation so that every student is challenged to reach their potential. Number 2, this person is going to develop extensions so that the particularly high-performing and high-achieving students actually are challenged to reach higher with extension and problems of the week to challenge them. Third, we are going to work to expand teacher expertise. You know that math teaching and learning is changing quickly, and that's good. But we need this enrichment coordinator to help expand and support teacher expertise. Number 4, we're going to have this person create some parent education opportunities to help you understand how math is taught in 2019 different from 2009. And then finally, I'm very excited that we're going to work on developing what we're calling an advanced math program. We've actually toyed with calling it REACH. What we want to do in this advanced math program is balance several things. Balance math intuition with automaticity. We want to balance math conceptual understanding with rigorous algorithmic thinking. And we want to balance a love for math with high computational fluency. These are the balanced ingredients that will make for a stronger math program. So that's the first one-of-a-kind area. The second one-of-a-kind PBS way to do this is what we're calling the dashboard project. We have created an evidence-based methodology to evaluate our curriculum and the teachers delivering it. We're currently on version 3.0. Not bad. We use third-party outside assessments as well as internal assessments with tests and standardized scores. We use quantitative analytics like statistics and data balanced with qualitative material, student surveys, how parents experience the program, what our teachers feel the program is doing, what informs curricular decision-making, and how we can make the math program better. In this dashboard, we have articulated key performance indicators, KPIs in the business world. Now, schools have dashboards for everything else, like finance, enrollment, placement, facilities, and everything. But I looked everywhere to find a model of KPIs and a dashboard for program and teaching, and I couldn't find it. I've been in teaching for 20 years, and a dashboard to evaluate with evidence program and teaching simply doesn't exist out there. So we created one here at PBS, and now I'm making presentations about it at regional and national conferences. I think it's really important for you as a prospective family to know that we at PBS have a dashboard to measure program and the team delivering it. That's really important. It's an outstanding management tool for me. It allows my team and me to make informed decisions about hiring and about allocating resources. We need an informed, intentional, and data-based way to make decisions to advance our program and to retain and recruit the best teachers. Here are some ways that we are looking to advance some of this excellence. And I want you to know that these initiatives came directly from this dashboard. So this is what we learned from the dashboard. The first is that we've developed a departmentalized co-teaching model in 4th and 5th grades. We're doing it so that teachers can focus on one curricular topic, not 3, allows them to specialize, and it gives our older students a taste of what the departmentalized model will look like in middle school and high school. A second thing that emerged from our dashboard project is something called our Ready, Set, Go program. We are intentionally using this program to build skills that are designed to help prepare students for middle school. Standardized test prep, how to have a strong interview during the middle school application process, how to develop your own relationships with your teachers when your parents aren't doing that for you anymore in kindergarten. This Ready, Set, Go program emerged directly from the dashboard. And the third is we are now doing an in-depth study on diversity and inclusion. We are going to identify ways to be further successful in expanding diversity and inclusion at PBS. We see this as a way to enhance a higher sense of belonging, and we see it also as a way to expand our racial, cultural, and gender diversity here at PBS. All of these initiatives come directly from the Dashboard Project. And finally, while speaking of program excellence, I'd like to share a third, one-of-a-kind PBS thing. We are planning to build an invention program in the fall of 2020. Our goal with this new invention program is to teach students intentionally how to be inventors, how to be creators, not just consumers. We don't want our kids to consume stuff. We want them to create and to invent stuff. We see this as a way to elevate STEM subjects, particularly things like robotics, coding, and engineering, all of which are languages and skills needed for success in today's world. I was inspired by a talk given by Professor Tina Seelig at Stanford, ironically at a fundraising conference this summer. This is how she looks at and how I have embraced the invention process. You start with imagination. You empathize with a problem someone has. You then envision a way to solve it. It could be in preschool that snack isn't working as well as you'd like. In 5th grade, it could be a community service opportunity that you'd like to solve. You start with imagination. Secondly, you apply creativity. You try to apply new ways of thinking, how to be creative to solve the problem. Third, you innovate. You innovate by finding new solutions. Like, what can I, as a kindergartner, as a 2nd grader, do to innovate a solution to the problem? And then fourth, and importantly, entrepreneurship. How do we bring a new idea to fruition? The reason I'm so attracted to this is because we often stop with the ideas and the imagination, and we never take it all the way through to the entrepreneurship. What I've said to many of our parents is that what entrepreneurship means is you might have to convince your head of school. You might have to convince your parents or your peers that your idea is worth spending time on, is worth investing in. That's why we want to build a new invention program. And I said to Professor Seelig after her talk, I said, it's really cool that you're teaching invention in college, but I think we should be teaching invention in the ELC and elementary school. Why? Because 3-year-olds through 11-year-olds are the most inventive, imaginative, and creative people ever. By the time you're my age, imagination is gone. So isn't that true, that your children are inventive and more imaginative than you are? So we should teach this invention to our students. Professor Seelig agreed. She offered to help. And so we're going to build an invention program at PBS. One-of-a-kind invention, setting us apart from the maker spaces that everybody else is doing or the design labs that everybody else is doing. We're going to have an invention program. And that's inventive. So I share this invention program because this is the kind of stuff that gets me excited about being a school head. And it's the kind of stuff that excites our parents and our faculty. And I've shared these one-of-a-kind examples for these reasons. Everybody at this school wants the best education for the children, me down to the preschoolers. I want PBS to be best in class, top and best in everything. And I'm committed to that, and so is my board, and so are the parents. We already have an excellent program, and we are using evidence and real data to support it, to measure it, and to make it better. And finally, PBS is a school on the move. It is not boring to be here. Indeed, one new parent told me how refreshing it is to hear me as the head of school verbalize, strategize, and implement constantly ways to improve. We are a school on the move. That's what you would be joining if you come here. So in conclusion, I'd like to just say a word about my role. I think that it's my job to inspire the teachers so the teachers can inspire the kids, and so the kids can inspire all of us. That's what my role as the head is, to inspire the teachers so they can inspire their students, and so the students can inspire you. If you join our school, I will do everything I can to inspire you. I will do everything I can to ensure that your children have the best possible learning environment every single day. Thank you for listening, and thank you for considering PBS. I would love to hear your questions. My parents live in Iowa. It is minus 25 degrees there today, and it is very warm here on a beautiful evening. So in the next 25 minutes, let's warm the room up even more before you head home to your families. So please ask your questions. I'd love to hear from you. And if you have to leave or get more food, that's totally fine. Yes?
You talked about this invention program that you wanted to create and distinguish it from like the design lab that other schools are doing. Can you clarify a little bit what the difference? How those are different?
So to distinguish or to clarify the differences between, say, a makerspace or a design lab versus invention. Well, we know that design thinking begins with the empathy process, which is very similar. Here's what I would say. When I have gone to visit makerspaces or design labs, what I think is missing is the intentionality from taking an idea and seeing it on to fruition. When I've been into makerspaces or design labs, you see a lot of material, a lot of activity. It can almost feel sometimes overwhelming, and that's all great, to tinker and to make. But I would like our students to invent with intention, because I would like them to be required and forced to take that good idea through the process of imagination, creativity, innovation, all the way to entrepreneurship, where they have to pitch it to me to make it happen. That's the key skill that we can really bolster in our students, and it's the key differentiator here. Yes?
Well, it sounds like you're definitely creating an amazing environment. I mean, I wish I could have, had an education that's based in as an innovative program as you are describing to us. Do you ever hear about your students who have graduated facing difficulties because the environment in their middle schools or high schools are not sort of as amazing as it is here at PBS?
So the question is, do our graduates encounter particular difficulties? And I'll just repeat what you said, although I shouldn't say this, because we're more amazing than the schools they go to, is what you essentially assume. Here's first what I would say about that. We all know we live in a bubble here in Silicon Valley, and one of the bubbles is we have some amazing schools here. And I actually started a group called the Peninsula Heads Group. It's 29 schools here in Silicon Valley. ranging from schools like PBS to schools that are 612s or K12s. And we meet as heads 3 times a year for lunch to talk about common issues and common things we're working on. It's amazing how common the problems and issues are. We had lunch, in fact, last Friday, and it's a great group. So what I would say is, I feel very good about recommending any number of these 15 to 16 middle and high schools to our parents, because they are different, and yes, they are working on things too, and they are not perfect like we are, but they are, but they are equally amazing in their own ways. The thing that makes me most proud, probably first, is that what I hear from the heads and the mission directors and from teachers is that PBS students don't get flustered or stopped by problems. They lean into things. So if they're flummoxed or they find something complex or hard to understand, they actually own it. They go to their teachers, they seek help, they get together in teams and work together, and they actually solve problems together. That's a really, really important skill. The second thing that I hear that makes me proud is that we're sending our students to 15 or 16 different middle schools. They all have very different curricula. I mean, there's some similarities, but there are a lot of different approaches out there. And what's very invigorating to me is that our students, graduates, are thriving in all of those varieties of schools. So there's not like, when I get asked, what's the perfect match? There isn't one. Actually, our students are well prepared for the variety of matches. And the beauty about that is it gives the families an opportunity to do an identity process. What's the right next match for our family, just like you're doing tonight? So I actually think one of the reasons I believe in this area and elevating the PBS program is I want our graduates to continue to go on to ever and ever more success. And when I hear about our seniors and their college plans, or our graduates doing amazing things, it makes me very proud. And it makes me really excited to tackle the imperfections and the problems that we're trying to improve on. So I actually think we have a lot of amazing schools to send our graduates to. Yes.
Thank you. That was very inspiring.
Thank you.
My question is, how should we as parents think about schools which are K through 12?
Mm-hmm.
So it takes away some of the, I'd say, mental stress of the application process at various times of the kids' schooling. How should we think about that versus PBS, which sounds inspiring, but I am, to be honest, daunted by going through the process, with the idea of going through the process again
Mm-hmm.
for senior school, for high school.
Mhm.
So any advice?
Mhm.
What have you seen?
Mhm.
And should that even be a factor?
So the question is, if you have an option to attend a K-12, why would you choose PBS? Because you have to apply out for middle school and high school. Well, the first thing I would say is that I would take that factor off the table and identify what's right for your children now. And here's one reason why. Some of them are 3. They're going to triple in age before they graduate. And that's like a ton. And you're going to know a lot more about them in that tripling process. So I would suggest that you take this beautiful moment when they're so little and young and find the right environment. The second thing I would say is this. It's great to be Sacred Heart and New Wave or Pinewood with their K-12 things. But what's awesome here is we get to focus on early childhood and elementary education. That's our bag. We're really good at it. And my attention isn't dispersed amongst those different grade levels. Now, I taught in high school in a boarding school. I then was the middle school director for an all-girls middle school. Now, that was interesting. And now I'm the head of school for preschool to elementary, and I think I'm going to end my career as a day school coordinator, probably. But here's what I would say. I have experience at all these grade levels. You should do what's right for your child right now. And here's a few statistics, since I've quoted some. Over the last 4 years, over 90% of our graduates are admitted to one or more of their top 3 choices for middle school. There is no school out there doing that. That is the best in class in Silicon Valley. And last year, 84% of our graduates got into their first choice. Now, in this competitive environment where all these schools are literally 10x the applications than they had than 8 years ago, that is an extraordinary statistic. So I think it's a very marginal risk. And I would also say this, that you should really think about what you're going to know about your children when they're in 4th and 5th grade and when you can really make that good decision. Because right now, you would be eliminating yourself to a couple options of K-12s, when currently you have a multitude of options, which I think is very American in one way, and also the right thing to do for your children. So I would say I would put that worry aside. I'll tell you a story. One of my favorite former students from boarding school, I remember when it was like new student orientation. This was several years ago. He's now living in San Francisco, by the way. He's an East Coaster. He came, and his older sister was at the school, but I think the boarding school I taught at was crazy not to admit him in that first round. He found out on August 10th that there was a bed available, and on August 20th, he packed up and came to boarding school. So he got his space with 10 days. And he was one of the most extraordinary students I've ever taught. So I guess I would say there are lots of roads leading to the right educational place, and you have to trust your instincts with your children. Normally the parents are more spicy than this at our parent meetings at PBS. Don't be shy. Yes, sir.
I'm scared to death of my kids ending up very stressed out living in Silicon Valley.
Mm-hmm.
What does PBS do to prepare them for the rigors of living around? I was gotten to the point where I consider moving to a different area that is a little bit less stressful. I think a lot of parents at some point feel the same way. I think kids are not allowed to be kids anymore. And what does PBS do to prepare them for the event of going to some high school like Menlo or something like that and being around a very stressful group of people?
Yeah. So, of course, we're probably all worried about the same thing and are afraid about not knowing what to do about it. In fact, I've given presentations on parenting in this age of anxiety. Here's how I would describe it. The thing you cannot control, is that stress and anxiety exists. What you and the school can control are how we deal with the symptoms of that stress and anxiety. And one thing is that I think, most of the parents at PBS would tell you that while yes, we want the kids to work hard, we want rigorous academics, we want to build their emotional intelligence, but we really want them to own being children and to allow them to be children and to be the goofy 3-year-old or the 5-year-old that they are. I love walking by the kindergarten when they're having snack, and I feel like the most popular person in the world. There is a 3rd grader, I say this at every tour talk, who blows me a kiss every morning into my office window. I mean, I think we should embrace those moments because they will go by quickly. So I think what you should do is follow your gut and focus on the ways you can manage the symptoms of that stress and not try to control the stress that's being created around you. Now, the problem with this anxiety is not just competitiveness getting into middle school or to college. It's also, we've had some of the largest wildfires in California history in our neighborhood. We have a government that shuts down and can't seem to get its act together. And that's not a political statement, that's just true of every political party. I mean, if you are a nerd like me and watch Prime Minister's questions in Parliament, House of Commons in England, they're struggling with Brexit. They can't get their act together either. So there's a lot of reasons to be stressed that are irrelated to what you're trying to do in your family. But what you can manage is family dinner, reading the PBS blog, and seeing what the teacher wrote about what they did in school that day, and asking questions about it. What you can control is watching the Gather Talks that we give on Fridays and talking to your kids about it. What about that respect? What do you think of respect? So I think that we have decided to own that as a school and to say that we are going to create confident, articulate, and intelligent students who are also kind, highly emotionally intelligent, and respectful. And that's the way that they're going to be able to withstand the weather that's out there in Silicon Valley. And what I hear is that they do it very well from our graduates. Yes.
School days for the younger kids vary quite a bit across schools.
Yes.
What led to the lengthening of the day for the ELC? And do you feel the rest period, the quiet period afterwards is sufficient, or sorry, after lunch, is sufficient for the kids who are still struggling with borderline with naps or having a hard time with the duration?
So the question is about lengthening the school day in the ELC, which is now in its 4th year. So we've been doing it for 4 years. And it's a project that I led and believed in, and how that's been effective, and if children who may need a little time with their wide range of sleep or rest needs, how we can manage that sufficiently in the school. Here's what I would say as background. 3 and 4-year-olds, if you said to them, walk from here to the end of the room, it would take them 30 minutes to get there. Because their feet are small and they're looking at it, right? They're imaginative. They're sponges. They're taking in their environment. And so the irony for me when I arrived at PBS is we were giving our youngest learners, who actually needed the most transition time, the most attention, and the respect to slow down, we were giving them the least amount of time in school. And it was absolutely counterintuitive to me. And what we've discovered is that by lengthening the day, they don't have to rush through recess or expiration. They can slow down and make sure the kids are understanding the letters and the numbers they're learning, or can actually take some more time with snack or cooking. They don't have to rush through lunch. And in fact, we didn't offer lunch and rest before, and I will tell you something, you need to teach children how to have lunch together. There's a huge need when they're 3 and 4 and 5 years old. And now we're doing that. What I love about our rest period is there's a series of options. You have to be quiet. You have to be alone. You have to stay in your own place. You can sleep if you want. You can read a book quietly. You can play with your toy animal or whatever it is. So there's a variety of options depending on the child. And if a child falls asleep and needs to be allowed to continue sleeping, they do that. They just continue sleeping. So what we do is we basically take each child and work in those 2 years to get them to the place where by kindergarten, they're all in a more routinized way to doing rest. Here's one thing that our veteran Margie Tully, who's been at PBS for 23 years, said to me, that when she experienced the children with a full day in the ELC, that they were more ready for kindergarten than ever before. That they just felt ready for school. And so I guess I would just close with a personal example. When some parents were worried that their children would not have the stamina for the full day, 1:30 in preschool or 3 o'clock in pre-K, I'll tell you what I see on the sidewalk after school. Those kids are excited, and they're more energetic than I am after school. And plus, don't you want us to send them home tired so they'll sleep at night? So I mean, because the problem before was, parents would drop them off, you have the 15-minute separation, bye, and then parents would drive home and brush their teeth and come back and pick them up. And that just wasn't working, and it was too fast for the children too. So the thing is, if you are worried about that, you can talk with the teachers and you can come pick them up early for a few days. But what we find is the parents are really, really happy with the full day and with the way it really prepares them for the kindergarten program. She left, but a distinct benefit to coming here, not a K-12, is that having a preschool and pre-K program connected to a K-5 program is we are preparing them for elementary school, intentionally. So that program is not like a daycare or a preschool program. It is part of our elementary school. And I think getting them ready for that full day is good. Just so you know, I visited 12 schools across California who were doing preschool and pre-K full-day programs, LA and here, to see how they made a conversion or how it was working, and the common theme, 100%, was that we should do it. So it was a field scan that I did personally. I hope that answers your question. We have time for a couple more questions if you'd like. Yes.
Kind of a weird question, but I know that early on we want our kids to be risk takers.
Yes.
So we kind of want them to maybe experience failure when I guess the stakes are really low. So what does failure kind of look like? Like, how do we teach those lessons at PBS, or how do you teach those lessons at PBS?
So we want our children to be risk takers, so how do we encourage or embrace failure? So a way that's as part of the learning process. I think that is a really tricky question for parents mostly, because I think our teachers are actually quite comfortable with it, but I sometimes think that program I described as how to optimize the curriculum at home had a lot to do with getting parents not to overdo the homework so that you send children with corrected work to school, so the teachers don't know what their children actually know, which masks the learning process, right? Because it's hard when you see a math problem incorrect. But it's really important for teacher to see that as a failure, because there's somewhere in that equation that it went awry, and the teacher wants to see it. I think it happens all the time. It can be, here it is. Pardon me. It can be a science experiment. Now, as you know, if you're a scientist, those experiments gotta fail if you're gonna find the right way to go about it. Or a math problem, the way that you learn the algorithm is by sometimes getting the wrong answer, because you can then fix the algorithm later. Or let's say you tried to mix a couple paint colors and it didn't work in the way you expected, so you'll do it right the next time. It's really the teachers embracing that in a very comfortable way in the classroom, and then encouraging parents not to be overly prescriptive in how they're helping with homework, because we really want our teachers understanding what the children actually know. It's a real problem, because you don't want me as the head of school to say, and I won't say, we love failure at PBS. I mean, that's nuts. I want our students to be successful and to be confident and to not fail, but I do want them to take risks and to have failures that they can learn from. And I often would say to my own students, because I was a humanities teacher, so I taught writing, is don't make the same mistake over and over. Like if we've figured out comma usage, please get it right so I can stop correcting it on your papers. So that would be one way to describe it as well, is let's let the mistakes correct certain things so we can build the knowledge and be even better and better. I think school is about a comfortable place for children to make mistakes so they don't make them when they're adults. And one of the most important things here is emotional intelligence, having an authentic relationship with your children so they'll talk to you about everything, because you want them talking to you about everything when they're teenagers. You really do. I knew that as a boarding school advisor. You want them talking to you about everything before they do it. You do. It's very important. You're welcome. One question here and then one question there.
Hearing a lot about finding the right fit for the children.
Yes.
And there are a lot of options. From your perspective, what sort of children, terms of personalities, attitudes, whatever, thrive here, and vice versa, which children you think would struggle here?
So the question is, if it's about fit, what typologies, if you will, of children attributes work well here and which children struggle here? I actually don't have a good answer to that, because I think that we are a school that addresses a wide range of children's attributes. I don't see struggling children here. Now, they may struggle with a particular concept in math, like a fraction, or they may struggle with making inferences, or they may not be an early reader. But we need to remember that child development is not a straight line. And one of the things I love about our curriculum is it's elastic enough to incorporate all kinds of children. I think that the children of the families who don't fit here are the ones who don't believe in our core values and mission. I think they're the ones who don't believe in partnership. And if those things are ones you're willing to embrace, we want to take this ride with you, with your children. Because to say that when they're 2.5, you can predict what they're going to be like in 12th grade is just not possible. So I don't have a typology of struggle. I see children wrestling with concepts and ideas all the time. That's the learning process. I would be really nervous if things came too easily. In fact, that would make me super nervous. Learning should be difficult. Parenting should be complicated. That's why we're co-educators. We're doing this together. And if in this high anxiety environment, you need a partnership to make that happen. So I think if our mission and core values don't resonate, or if you're not willing to partner with us as a co-educator, those would be things I would say that should give you pause about PBS, to be perfectly frank. I think we have time for one last question in the back. You're welcome.
So I'm glad to hear you work a lot. And my question about inclusive. So we know inclusive is so important for the work. So I'm glad you have the diversity focus. Can you also share more about how do you think you invest PBS as a very inclusive community?
So I would define inclusive in many ways. It can include socioeconomic inclusion, diversity, racial and cultural diversity. It can include language diversity. We have families who speak different languages at home. I've sometimes had parent meetings with translators at PBS. I think that's awesome. That's the world. I think there's cultural diversity. We celebrate Chinese New Year. We celebrate Diwali. We celebrate Kwanzaa, Christmas, Hanukkah, Persian New Year, where I get cookies from the Persian families, or lunch. It is rich in the environment. We have things here called family share, where families come in and share their culture with their children's peers. In fact, on Friday, I saw a parent here who was about to make a presentation about Wisconsin. That's my home track, from Iowa. And so that's a cool culture share too, because parents and children can learn more about the different cultures. What I love is that 57% of our student body is racially or culturally diverse. That number's up from the mid-30s when I arrived. And I think that having different names and different family structures and having children share about that in their classroom and having their parents come in and own that with them and share that with them really means that we're saying to children, we celebrate everything. Now, I'll also say this. We believe in opinion diversity and perspective diversity and political diversity. So what I would say is that it's very important to me that we respect each other's opinions, political alliances, we respect each other's perspectives, respecting your family values, as long as you can be aligned with us as a school with our values. And so I think that's a great starting point for this study we're doing on how to elevate belonging in our community so that we can be even more intentional about the program that supports that. How can we do even more things? Not just throwing money at that, but how can we create programs and create a culture where diversity, inclusion, and belonging are number one? Because that's the world they're entering in, and we want to represent that world here at PBS. I think go ahead, I'll give a brief answer, I promise.
So, I believe that sports and athletics are fun.
Yes.
They teach a lot of things about discipline, habits, collaboration. What does sports mean for PBS? And in the next 5 years, do you plan to have more space, or how do you think about it?
What do sports and athletics mean for PBS, and what do the next 5 years look like? I think it's awesome when our teams win, and we're kind of on a good winning streak with our basketball teams over the last few years. It's pretty cool. That wasn't true when I arrived. I didn't have anything to do with that, by the way, but our coaches did. The trend line on athletic participation has gone up exponentially since I arrived, both kids being involved in teams here as well as teams outside of school, and we have actually a lot of PBS parents who are coaching outside teams. We believe in a no-cut environment. Everybody's on the team, and everybody plays, come what may. And it's really cool when you can win when everybody plays. And in that way, it feels competitive in the right way, but not competitive in the ways that would be wrong for an elementary school environment. I also see a lot of passion for health and wellness. We do the presidential fitness every year. There's a lot of nutrition discussions at our school. We want to do more with that. And if you want the 5-year plan, in addition to funding faculty first to make sure we keep the best talent, in addition to funding a new invention program, a third funding opportunity that we're working on now is to build a new community center, which we are seeing as an athletic space. Because in 2005, when we built that beautiful music studio, art studio, library, lab, and science lab, we did not put an indoor gym or athletic center in place. And so we as a school leadership have agreed that we are going to build a building that will have an Arriaga type basketball court where you can play one direction or two directions, where we can elevate the athletics and sports of the school, where we can provide a larger space for bigger gatherings like a theater or assembly or a concert space. And when the air quality is bad, we can play inside, which will be, I think, very helpful to our children. And then the dream is maybe we can have a PBS kitchen here so we can actually have our own lunch program and really focus on good nutrition. That's my 5. I didn't bring that up because I was throwing a lot at you, but in terms of a building plan, that is something that we're focused on too. I want to thank all of you so much for listening tonight and for being here. We have loved getting to know you. Mita and Michelle love you too, and they will spend a lot of time talking to you as needed. But just to close by saying thank you for considering our school, thank you for being engaged with us, and thank you to our current parents for sharing their experiences of PBS with you. Have a great evening.